When you get into trouble in jail, you have to stand before a captain, the officer who saw it happen, and a civilian. They decide your fate right there. If guilty, they can take away your phone time, your commissary, even your visits. Or they put you in solitary confinement, which is a prison inside the prison. Since I started the fight, there wasn't much to argue. They found me guilty and gave me 30 days in the S.H.U. the Special Housing Unit. We called it the box, the bing, or the hole. Minutes later, I was being marched to a housing unit known as to lower. When we got to the tier, the officer stopped me in front of this thick metal door with a huge plastic window. Through it, I could see a long hallway stretching out forever, lined with cell doors. The officer looked at someone inside the control bubble and just nodded. Suddenly, this giant steel door started sliding open. That grinding, mechanical sound is something you never forget. As the door opened, the noise got louder and louder. Inmates were yelling and some banged on their doors. I prayed my cell would be near the front, but of course, we kept walking. The deeper we went, the louder it got. Finally, the officer barked, "Stop," and pointed into an open cell. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me, and that final lock sound froze every part of me in place. The cell was tiny and truly claustrophobic. Against one wall was a stainless steel toilet and sink, with a warped metal mirror above it. Along the opposite wall was a bed and thin mattress. The officer told me to stick my hands through a slot in the door. He uncuffed me and ordered my clothes off. In solitary, inmates wear only minimal clothing to prevent self-harm and ensure constant control. You are only allowed 3 white tees, 3 pairs of boxers, 3 pairs of socks, and a little Bible. That was my new life. I could still hear inmates yelling, and after surrendering my clothes, my body wouldn't stop shaking from fear and shock in that cold, silent cell alone. I quickly laid down to try and get control of my nerves again. The noise never stopped, following me all the way into my cell. I covered my head with my pillow, but can still hear and feel vibrations from inmates violently kicking against the cell doors. After some time, I sat on the bed, uncertain what to feel, accepting it was my fault and knowing exactly how I got here. But nothing prepares you for the noise, the confinement, the weight of it all. The yelling and banging went on for so long, eventually, the noise died down, and that's when I heard it. "Yo, 25 cell." No answer. Again. "Yo, 25 cell." Silence. After a few more tries, someone snapped back. "What the hell you want?" the guy in the front cell yelled. "Who are you talking to like that?" And just like that, it started. Voices screamed across the tier like they were face to face. Even though we were all locked down, I told myself it was pointless. Nobody could fight until they got out. But in there, pride is everything, and nobody likes to look weak. Eventually, the guy up front kept saying, "Okay, we'll see tonight," and things eventually went silent. Night came. I heard the shift change. The officers walking by, counting heads, making sure everyone was still breathing. A few minutes later, an officer came back down the tier. He stopped at my door and asked, "You ready?" "What do you mean, ready?" "Ready for what?" I thought I was getting moved or bailed out. Before I could say anything, he yelled to the bubble, "Open 25 cell." My door rattled and started to slide open. That's when I realized what happened. I was 25 cell. The guy arguing before was pretending to be 25 cell. I wanted to tell the officer it wasn't me, but that would be snitching. Something strictly forbidden in jail. The next thing I knew, I was standing there, a skinny 16-year-old kid in a t-shirt and boxers, staring at a CO who expected me to fight. The inmate from the front yelled, "Don't be scared now," and the whole tier just erupted shouting, banging, stirring up chaos like it was a scheduled pay-per-view event. I couldn't believe it. The officer yelled, "Let's go. You guys got 5 minutes." He said it like this was some scheduled appointment. I stepped out, and there he was, a short but bulky Dominican kid built like he'd swallowed a dumbbell, with no shirt on. I was relieved he wasn't huge, but I was still terrified. I wasn't angry at him. I didn't even know him. I couldn't just switch my feelings to anger. He walked toward me. I froze. At the last second, the CO grabbed my shirt and said, "Defend yourself or you're going to get knocked out." I wanted to tell him I wasn't trying to fight at all. He didn't wait. His first punch cracked me across the face so hard my brain vibrated. My nose immediately started bleeding. In that moment, I understood. This wasn't a threat. It was real. He tried to knee me in the face, and instinct took over. I wasn't a boxer, but I'd wrestled as a kid. I just locked onto him, grabbing and holding on for dear life. I didn't care if it was sloppy, I just didn't want to get knocked out. Blood started pouring from my nose, dripping everywhere. That's what finally made the CO end it. And just like that, it was over. Minutes felt like hours. I was exhausted, shaking, but somehow relieved. I had survived. As I walked back to my cell, I noticed a small 25 marked above my door. It was the first time I'd actually looked at it. Moments later, the CO tossed a roll of toilet paper through the slot. "Clean up," he grunted. Later that night, the guy who'd pretended to be me apologized, saying he didn't think it would go that far. I didn't care. It wasn't him that bothered me. It was the officer. He didn't prevent the violence, he fueled it. They made it a show, and they treated us like betting horses. And honestly, I bet it's still happening on Rikers right now. After the fight, the Dominican kid and I had no problems. And I realized every new inmate that arrived always made the inmates go crazy. This was my reality. If this story moved you, please support by subscribing.